component where we would be spending some time to understand how it is connected to a real running application. Now, if I see in my BTP DB trans over here in my tables, what should I see? Only the table which I forcefully asked the system to create. When I say forcefully, it means in the data model, I did not specify the exist, and that's why it just got created. When I say this exist, it means I am providing something to this. I can say it's part of the synonym then. So I do have BTP, B trans, EMP, and the department. And when I click on this, it's getting connected to my this view internally. Okay. So this is not a real one, but it's connected to the separate one. So I do have two view such synonym, and a view would get a view would get generated for all the component whichever are there in the employee transactional over here. Okay. Now let's just see. We want to recognize the behavior. We want to see some sort of behavior. If we are saying that the data is coming from this employee central, okay. So in case I add something in this particular view, it should also start reflecting in my actual one. So if I just go over here and I want to create something. So this is my view. I can just say right click if you want, and you can say generate create statement. And you would be able to see the create statement for a view. Okay, there should be an insert statement as well. Okay, they are not giving that by default. Okay, fine. Let's just ignore this. I'll just say open data over here. One way. I'll also give you another way. There are two ways with the help of which I can play around with the data in my data explorer. One is a wizard based manner. So this is my wizard. Okay, if I want to create something, I'll just say I want to have an ID. So I'll just say plus, and you can say for example, this is the GUID I want to use. I'll just add this and I can say IT department. And for example, I don't want this for now. I'll just keep it as a null. That's fine. I can change this. If I start typing on this, I should be able to. Okay, let's just it is not allowing me to type. Yeah, it is right. Now, as I have inserted a data in the view, which is in the DB central, and this particular component is connected via the synonym to the DB trans. If I just open this, open the synonym over here. And if I just go over here in the department, if I open the data, I am able to see the same information. Any sort of change is being done on this as well should be reflected. So for example, here I am saying cloud department. I'll just say save. So as you can see, this is a two-way. This is two-way. This is my application. So we would be going through application, but currently I am showing you how I can play around with the data over here. So this is my central database. This is my calling applications container. So anything which is getting changed from the calling application would be statically visible over here as well. So it would directly get reflected. So this is how I can do it using a wizard. Okay. Now consider I want to write some sort of logic, or let's just say prepare some sort of logic which is mainly SQL driven, and I want to play around with that. Okay, so what I can do is I'll just put a cursor over here in whatever container. In whatever container you put a cursor, there is a button called this Open SQL console. So if you just do that, you would find that it is connected to that relevant DB container. So BTP DB trans to which it is connected to in this. In case you want to disconnect, you can do that. In case you want to connect it to anything, you can put a cursor and change the relevant settings, or I can say change the container on which you are working. Okay. So for example, I want to get some sort of data. So I can say select star from my BTP DE trans underscore department. Okay. For example, I do have a employee table as well. So I can say select star from my BTP BE trans employee. Okay, it was EMP, I guess, right? So now I do have two queries. So it would say that this is an error because I can't have two over here. So like it's same as that of the HANA Studio. Whatever you select would get executed. So I don't have currently anything written over here. That's why it's not figuring out anything. In case I want to insert as well, I can say insert into this particular one. And I can specify ID and let's just say EMP ID EXT. Not sure of the syntax actually fully, but let's just see. I think this is something called columns. Yeah, column. To be called columns. I'm not sure. I'm not sure of the insert statement. We'll check if that works. Otherwise, I'll just figure out what was that one. I'll just generate a new GUID because it should be always unique. We'll also see how this GUID can be generated automatically, but we are currently going step by step. EMP ID, for example, I want to say E1234. Name should be Smith. And yeah, I want to assign him to the department. Okay, so it says one row affected. So I can expect one row to get generated over here. So as you can see, now I am able to insert a record using a SQL console as well. Okay, same way, let's just say I want one more employee to get generated in the same department. So I can say generate some GUID, other one. And here I want this particular employee. The information we just added, and let me just call it as a Rahul. I would name his employee ID as 1235, and he is also belonging to the same department. I'll just say insert value. I'll just say that I want all the employees, and this is how it is giving me this. Now, one more thing. I am telling you how you can play around with the SQL console. That is also one of the agenda why we are also over here. Now, let's say we learn the purpose of CDS persistence exists, right? Whenever I say CDS persistent exists, what does it mean? It means that, okay, CDS persistent exists. It means that the entity, or I can say the base artifact, the base DB artifact for the entity that we are generating already exists, right? So the system won't create that. Perfect. Now, in case I am providing the data source for this in the form of a synonym, then I can also say the base artifact exists and the CDS persistent exists. Consider I am saying CDS persistent exists, but I don't have a I can say synonym. Instead, I want to prepare a dashboard which is getting data from employee plus department table. It means I want to generate a view. I want to generate a view in my local container, and here I would be exposing it as an entity and would say it exists. So rather than creating a table, it would read from that SRC view. Okay. So for example, here I can say, if I just go over here in my database explorer, then I can see I do have 2 employees. Here I do have department ID. It does not look good. Here I do have a department which is having this key. So if I want to create, or let's just say get some sort of data in the form of a report which I want to prepare. So I can say select okay, from this employee as EP, and I can say inner join department, can say DP on EP dot department ID equal to DP dot ID, and I want from the employee ID of the employee, the name of the employee. So I can say EP dot ID, EP dot name, and let's just say EP dot this EXT ID, and let's just say from the department I want the name. So I can say DP dot name as a department name. This is something I want to get exposed as my output. So can you see? From 2 tables, I am able to derive a set of output, which is saying this particular employee, which is over here, he is coming, or he is part of my cloud department. Another one is also part of the same. In case I do have more than one department, more than few employees, then also this query would give me the output data. Perfect. But this is a SQL console. So my user is saying that I want this sort of output report. But can I ask him to actually execute this in an SQL console? No, right? I should have some sort of endpoint. I should have some sort of endpoint like employee dashboard. Okay, and that employee dashboard should be giving the data exactly as what I am getting over here. Then only whenever I am creating a UI application on top of that, it would be visible like this. The whole emphasis, the whole focus of creating this story is to make you understand that CDS persistent exist works not only with synonym. CDS persistent exist work if you do have any data source already available. Okay, already available with the name matching exactly and providing the column information you are looking for. Now this can come from anywhere. There can be a view, There can be a synonym also we mentioned. It can be a synonym, a view, hard-coded CSV files, anything. Okay. Anything and everything which already exists and you don't want a separate table to get created for that, you would write a CDS persistent exist. Okay. So let's just say I want this to be generated. So I'll just copy this and here I'll just go. And in the SRC, I'll just generate a view. So I'll just say new file over here and I'll just say, for example, EMP dashboard dot HDB view. Okay, and here I'll just say view EMP dashboard as, and here I'll just paste my select query which I just wrote. Okay, now I do have a liberty that I'll just copy the name from this EMP dashboard, but what it should match with? It should match with the namespace as well. So what should be the name of the view I am creating? It should be BTP underscore B trans underscore this. Okay, let me just copy somewhere which already exists. I can say this BTP B trans should be part of this. So I should specify BTP B trans this as this particular view, and it should get the data from this. Okay. And in the DB model, I should be able to generate one EMP dashboard. EDS persistence exist. And I'll just say entity. What is the name? This. It does have ID. So I'll just say CUID. And I'll specify all the name of the column. So ID is already there. I specified that using CUID. I'll just say name. What is the name? From where it is picking it from? It is picking it from employee name. So I'll just say employee name like this. Second thing, it is having a EMP ID EXT. So whenever you are saying exist, whenever you are providing the data source from your side, whenever you are asking system not to create a table, the name of the column should match with that of the data model. Sequence is not important. Okay. So for example, I do have a name over here. I do have a name over here, which is something I have provided over here. I do have EMP ID EXT. Okay, I am copying this, but let's just say I am pasting it on the top. So now what would be the sequence? It would be ID, EMP ID, EXT, and name. But here that's not the sequence, but that's fine. Sequence is not important. What is important is the technical name of the column should match. And you cannot have anyway a table with the two column with the same technical name, right? So we should be safe. So I'll just say department name over here. That would be the last column. And I can say string 50. So I just wrote a CDS persistent exists, but this is now not with a synonym, but it's with the view. Okay, and I do have the view already available over here. Now I want to have this particular CDS persistent dashboard. I'll just close all of this and I'll just pass this available over. But now, whenever I am saying I am creating a dashboard, ideally it should be a read only. So it's your call, but ideally it's a good practice to always say read only over here and then specify the entity. So no one would be able to perform any sort of create, update, delete on top of that. I can say employee dashboard as select from bb.emp dashboard. Are you all with me till now? Sirisha, clear?
Yes, Sumit.
Okay, perfect. Hey, hi Rizwana, I just saw you join just now.
Yeah,
Not an issue.
you you started at 5. I mean, what time IST?
It was 7 to 8.
Now 7:30. No.
No, it was 7. Yeah, no worries. I mean, we will be having the recording
A
shared.
recording. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Go on. Go. Yeah.
Okay, so we do have a view also available over here, which we have just exposed. Now, what we would be doing is we would be generating that file over here because that won't be available over here, employee dashboard. So what all files? Yeah, that is also one of the good understanding everyone should be having, that what all files you can expect to be part of the gen. All the files that would get generated. So for example, this would generate the view. So it should be there in the gen folder. When I say exist, will it generate anything? No, right? It is just a existing component we are connecting to. So I cannot expect this EMP dashboard BTP this to be there because I already created a view by myself. Okay, I am expecting the employee dashboard, employee transactional dot employee dashboard. This is something I am looking for. Once it is generated, I am good. So let me do, or let's just generate that file. How I can do that? I'll just go over here, disconnect this. Once this green turns into a black, we can rebind it. Yeah, we do have that. Let's just say bind. Same HDI shared. As you can see, employee transactional, employee dashboard just got generated. Yeah, it would be a red because as I mentioned, this service DBEC is something which the BAS has an issue. Business Application Studio has an issue that it's not able to connect in the local mode over there. But it does one thing that we are mainly focused with. It is generating the gen file that we are looking for. Okay, now what we would be doing is we would making this public. I'll just go over here and TFIML and I'll just say 1.3.0. Now let me just remove something which is not necessary. Last version. I'll just say build empty a project. So these are all the things. I mean, many a thing would not be written very clearly if you refer any sort of blogs or document, but few things would be something that would come by experience. This was also few of them, okay, that I learned in a by experience in a hard way or whatever you would like to say. But yeah, I mean, this is how internally it is working. These are the pillars. In case we don't have a gen file, what should fail, how it is connected to, these all the things we should be knowing. Okay, and I'll just put this on deployment and then maybe we can also have a round of the database explorer to understand one more thing. Okay, I'll just say right click and deploy MTF file, which is the latest one. Now, I guess if we are not getting any sort of prompt for the input, then maybe we can keep this. Yeah, it's deploying, right? So let's just keep this. It's detected the new version. It's on its way. Processing. Yeah, perfect. So it's the deployment is ongoing. Let's just work on few more things. So now we know we do have the tables, the views that we generated, but there are not always the thing that we generated, right? There may also be the thing that systems generate, system ideally generates. If you remember, this instance was something that got generated. Okay, whenever we whenever we generate the admin account. It is nothing but a system catalog. It is responsible for all the system relevant information. We already learned how I can generate a user schema. We did a user schema mentioned in a DB module over here. We do have this user schema, BTP DBEC. Same way, we do have a system schema as well. So if you just go over here, if you just click on something, let's just say tables. I want to see the tables. You would find a pop-up over here, and those are to choose the schema. Whatever schema you choose, you would be able to find its relevant component. For example, I am interested in the system schema. I'll just select this. Okay. And if you see in the tables, I am able to find all the table which are coming from system. If I don't select the system schema, these are, I won't find anything which is coming from this particular DB admin. So this is a schema specific information. So it means HANA database work on a schema level. They do have a schema. Each schema has its set of database component. So as a part of which, there is one more important one. I'll just select this system. So if you see, there are plenty of them, system HDL, and likewise. All of them are not open to be consumed. System is the one that you can consume in your application. Okay, out of which one important table, one important system schema table that you would be using, we would be using is dummy. If you see dummy is a table and it is part of system schema. If you compare this closely with what we generated a table. We generated a table called department. It is a table and with the schema name this. And here we do have a dummy table, which is this table name, and it is a system schema. Here there is only one particular column that you can see. Okay, so this process got finished, and I guess we do have a latest service available. Okay, let me just have a look at it only once, then maybe. Where is the this employee dashboard? If I just copy this, paste it over here, I'm able to see the information, ID, external ID, name. Okay, this department name, everything and anything that I was seeing earlier. Now same I am able to see in my service output, right? Now, I hope it is clear what we were willing to achieve. We were able to achieve that. Okay. Now we were talking about the system schema. So system schema has an important table called dummy. So like when I want to write a logic on a particular table, or let's just say any sort of table iteration I want to work on, I can write a select query on that and play around with that. But HANA gives us one more option that in case you want to write some sort of logic where you are not having any sort of base tables, but you want to write some logic. Many a time it happens when you do have a fixed set of values. Okay, for example, I want, if I just put a cursor over here, and here I'll say select, I want a column with, I want the output with two columns. One should contain 1 as a column 1. It should contain 2 as a column 2. Okay, and I don't, and this is the output I want. I want an output with two columns. First one should contain 1, another one should contain 2. This is just a hypothetical example. But many a time while preparing our data, we want some sort of intermediate data storage from where we can actually write our own sort of code logic. Okay, so 1 and 2 I generated, but for a select query to work, what is required? A data source, but I don't have a from clause over here. So if I just say execute, it would fail because it's a syntax error. So if I want to select any sort of such information, I can say from dummy. And when I say dummy, it would treat this dummy as a table. And irrespective of how many column it is containing, you would get the output that you are looking for. So dummy is a system schema table used for writing any sort of your intermediate logic. Okay, so that is the purpose of dummy. And so this is currently something which I'm executing on my DB admin. Okay, but in case I want to use it in my this project, let's just say I do have a system schema connected to this, and now I want to write any sort of such logic, then I can do that. But till the time I don't have this dummy incorporated in my service,